And leaving, it's probably because you're not a contractor and you don't really care what I have to say, and that's cool. Um, have a great day. So we got Mario jumping in. Mario, what's up? We got people coming in here. We are live on Facebook. We're live on YouTube. We're live on TikTok. I need another device so I can go live on Instagram at the same time. But I digress. So today is how to deal with difficult conversations day. Podcast released this morning, number 107, I believe it was. I believe it was podcast 107. Let's take a look here. I get confused. There's been so many of them. So we are on, 107, how to deal with difficult clients. Now, this comes up quite a bit, and there's different elements to that. There's different times when you have to deal with them. One is when you're dealing with them through the sales process. The second one is when you're dealing with them during the construction, like you've already sold them. And then there's ones where it's a specific situation that happens and you have to deal with the difficult situation. So today is just a continuation. If you guys do not listen to my podcast, if you're not currently listening to the Hammer and Grind podcast, highly recommend you go and check that out. If you're a contractor, if you're not a contractor, it's going to bore you to death and you're going to think it's stupid, unless you just want to get some insight into the mind of a contractor. I don't know. It might be worth it. Lots of people jumping in here and not sticking around, which totally understand that. Doesn't apply to you, but man, is it distracting seeing all the people joining on TikTok and not. It's really distracting, to be honest with you. I don't know how you can turn that off. I wish there was a way you can turn off. If you guys know how to turn off the join notifications, that would be really beneficial. So I'd appreciate that if anybody knows how to do that. I'm just looking here in the settings to see if there's anything that actually allows you to do that. Bear with me 1 second. Yeah, I don't see anything. All right. Anyways, we'll move on. So yeah, if you guys are journaling, then if you have any questions for me, throw them in the chat, throw them in the comments, depending on what platform you're on, and I'll be sure to help you with those and answer them for you. So again, how to deal with difficult clients, and this applies really to any business. It doesn't matter what business you're in. If you're a business owner and you are dealing with difficult clients, if you're trying to pre-qualify people through the process, this will be helpful, be very beneficial for you in that. So one of the things that as contractors that we deal with a lot is trying to pre-qualify clients to make sure they're not going to turn into a crazy Karen like mid-project, right? There's nothing worse than signing a deal with a client that you're going to be working in their house or their property for the next 3 to 6 months, and only to find out the next morning after you had a one night stand with them that they are schizophrenic, right? Or they're bipolar, right? So we don't want to get into that. We have one here, Ag Tactical Outdoors. Do you think referral cards with a small cash reward works? Um, I think anything can work in the terms of incentives, but I'm not a huge fan of incentivized referrals. That's just from my experience. It just doesn't really work. I mean, if depending on what trade you're in and what you do, one problem you're going to have with that is tracking it, like keeping track of all that. The second thing is not everybody's motivated by, a $20 gift card or a $50 gift card or a $200 gift card. It's just they're just not motivated, and in my opinion, it kind of cheapens the deal a little bit. That's just my opinion. Can it work? Yeah, it can work. I'm just not a fan of that type of incentivizing or that type of referral marketing. I'd rather people be out there wanting to refer me because they love our work so much that they want to shout from the rooftops. They become raving fans of my business. That type of referral is way better than one that's based on getting a $10 Starbucks gift card. And that's just my opinion. So, whenever you're talking to people on the phone, sometimes people will tell you what they think you want to hear in order to get information from you. So they're reaching out to you because they want an estimate on their project. They're going to get 3 or 4 estimates, right? No matter what. And you're saying, well, we don't come out and do free estimates, we charge for them, blah blah blah. They may just tell you things that they think you want to hear in order to get the information. They're looking for the estimate, the free estimate from you, and they're willing to say whatever they want to get you out there. That can be one scenario. Another scenario can be they have different expectations. They have different concerns than what normal people may have. What I call normal people. They may have higher expectations. And if these things are not found out during the discovery call, the initial phone call, it can lead to a lot of headaches later on down the road. And so it's really critical early on in the process to identify who can be these difficult clients and head them off before we even start. I'd much rather, invest, let's say 5-10 hours of my time in the early beginning of a estimating process and then find out that this client is going to be a major pain in the butt and then just cut it off and like be out that 5 or 10 hours. I would much rather do that than try to move through with it because I simply say, well, I've already invested this much time, therefore I got to keep going. And then you are now committing to another, 2-week, 2-month, 6-month project with someone who's a nightmare. Like that is a terrible situation to be in. I remember one time I sold a job. It was a master bathroom remodel. This couple moved from, I think it was like Michigan up north. And you could just tell like they were big city type people, like kind of, you know, had high expectations, high demands, and just kind of unrealistic thoughts. And I ended up selling the job. I don't remember exactly why I sold the job. I don't know if it was just the right pricing or if I needed the work or whatever. But it was right before Christmas. It was like a month before Christmas. Is that when we were going to start, right? And I still remember this. The first day we showed up, like the husband, I was talking to the husband. He was the businessman husband. The wife was a stay-at-home wife, right? And did all the work through the husband. And then we show up to day one, and she starts asking me, "Now you guys are going to be done by Christmas, right?" And I was like, "No, no, we're not going to be done by Christmas. It said on the estimate it was 6 weeks or whatever it was. I don't remember. It was like, more than what the time was allotted." And I was like, "No, it was in the estimate that you guys signed that we would take 6 weeks or it would take 5 weeks or whatever it was." And she like instantly went off the rails, like very upset about it, visually upset. And I'm like, we just started. This is less than 20 minutes into the project. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? Like, how did this happen? Right. So that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about, because I had all my previous conversations, or at least 90% of them, were with the husband in regards to the contractual information that was being done. The selections and the design and stuff were kind of with the wife. And so the two of them really didn't come together at the same one. I didn't do a video on that one, Jacob. The two of them come together on the same, we didn't come together at the same time on the same problems. And so they really just we didn't talk about it. That for me was a learning experience. I remember like being in their house on New Year's Day, like working to try and get this job done, and their family's there. I mean, it was just an awkward project, and it was a learning experience for me. Made sure I would never do that again. So, there's lots of things you can do to ask questions in the beginning to find out some of this information so that you don't have to go through this process, midway. Whenever I see contractors posting on like Facebook groups and posting in, other platforms about, man, I had this nightmare customer. They agreed to pay my price. And then when I gave them the bill, they said, this was way too much. I'm overcharging them. How can I get out of this? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, first of all, you probably got yourself in that position. And it's because you didn't effectively communicate with the clients ahead of time. There's different levels in the process. There's different stop points, if you will. The first one is going to be when you're pre-qualifying them, right? The second one is going to be when you're finalizing the contract, like you're collecting a deposit, they're signing the contract. That is a critical stop point to where it's like the final, let me test this to make sure before we get in bed together, right? And then after that, you're committed for the most part. I mean, there's still ways out, but for the most part, you're committed because you signed a contract, you took money, a contract, a contractual exchange has happened, and then now you're either in bed with them or you have to wiggle your way out. So we like to ask specific questions in the qualification process to help bring these things to light. And one of those questions is, have you ever done a project like this before? Or have you ever worked with a contractor before? It seems like a very, very inconspicuous question, but it's very, very powerful, because if they say, no, we've never done anything like this. This is our first house. We've never worked with a contractor. That tells me that they may have way beyond, higher expectations, or they may have low expectations. And so now I can ask for, follow-up questions. Oh, I'm glad to be the first one. What are some things that are, that you'll be able to measure the success of the project by? Or what are some things that are really important to you guys, or you, or whoever's involved? Is communication important? Yes, communication is very important. Gotcha. Is, is having, information readily available to important to you? Or is it, having detailed information each day? Like, you can ask specific questions to really figure out what's important to them. But if they have worked or had a project before, they have worked with another contractor, now I can do a little bit different. I can say, oh, how was that experience? How did that experience go? And they may say it was great or it was terrible. Oh, terrible. I'm sorry to hear that. What happened, if you don't mind me asking? Well, blah, 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 blah. And whatever they tell you is what's important, because they're not going to tell you things that aren't important to them, right? If they say, I had a wonderful experience. Oh, what about it made it so wonderful? Again, whatever they tell you is what's important to them. They did a great job. They showed up when they said they were going to. They communicated through the whole process. The guys were great. They cleaned up after themselves. They put up plastic and kept our house clean and blah, 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 blah. I'm taking notes during this conversation. I may even say, wow, it sounds like a wonderful contractor. What's keeping you from hiring them back or calling them back? And usually it's like, oh, well, that wasn't when we lived in another city, or that contractor retired, or whatever. Right now they have to find a new contractor. Me knowing what the expectations are going to tell me what kind of person they are. If they say, no, it was a terrible experience, we had to fire the contractor halfway through, and we had to hire 2 more contractors to finish the job. The second one that we hired, came and worked a week and then left, and then he took our money and blah, blah, blah. Like, what? There's some patterns forming here. Like, what's going on? Like, why are there 3 contractors that do one job? Now, it could be the contractors, but maybe I know the first contractor who quit mid-project. Maybe I personally know him, or maybe I know of the company, or I can go online and research it. If the customer is saying the contractor left mid-project, and I go on and research their company, and they look very professional, have a ton of good reviews, except for this one customer that you're talking to gave a negative review, and it's like, this company, blah, 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 and they're bashing them. Well, that's ammunition. That's insight into who this person is, right? And now you can eliminate all of the headache that's going to happen with hiring that particular, or working for that particular customer. So you can prevent a lot of headaches in your business by asking calibrated questions early on. The second thing, though, is that what if you agree to them and then now they turn into a crazy customer mid-project? these can be very frustrating, but the first thing you have to like do a litmus test on is, are there complaints, or there whatever I'm assuming they're complaining a lot. Whatever the complaints are they valid? They may be complaining that, you're not showing up when you say you're going to. Well, if you're not showing up when you say you're going to, that's a valid complaint and you need to fix that. So the very first thing you have to do is assess, is what they're complaining about a valid complaint, a valid argument? If it's not, if you're doing everything right and they're just complaining, then you may have a Karen on your hands, or you may have someone who has unrealistic expectations. And whenever this happens, the first thing you need to do is basically have a meeting with them. It's one thing if someone's like complaining because there was a little bit of, you left some, let's say you're doing tile and you're mixing in the driveway and you got some thin set or whatever, tile dust or something on the concrete and it stained it a little bit. Like, that's a valid complaint. But maybe it's like this little bitty speck and you always clean up at the end of the job anyways and fix all that stuff. If that's what it is, it's just like, oh, Sally, I'm so sorry that happened. We'll definitely make sure we clean this up. We always do a final cleanup at the end of the job where we, go through everything with a fine tooth comb, make sure everything's cleaned up. But we'll make sure at the end of the job today to clean up that little spot and make sure it doesn't happen again. That's a reasonable request. But if they're like flipping out and like almost yelling and screaming, I can't believe you would disrespect my property with, you didn't put anything down, blah, blah, blah. The first thing you need to do is validate their concern. It's simply saying, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, Sally. I did not realize that this had happened. And I totally understand why you would be upset. I'd be upset too. Let's figure this out. So you can validate their concerns. Even if 10% of what they're saying is what you can validate and the other 90% is just nonsense, then just validate the 10%. Validate some part of it. Now, if you guys know Alex Harmozy, he told a story about the anger boat. I think he called it the anger boat or the angry boat. And what he told a story was he used to work for a company, and a lady come in was like really upset that their product they bought there was not working. And the owner, went over there, and the owner was like, this is unacceptable. Who did this? We're going to fire him. He like went over the top. Like, he got angrier than the customer. And the reason is because you can only have one person in the angry boat at a time. Now, I've never done this to this level, but it makes logical sense. And so whenever someone's like, I'm really upset with this situation, and you're like, this, I totally understand. And I'm even more upset than you. And let's figure this out. Let's figure out what's going on, because this is unacceptable. Those people will typically back down. Like, oh, wait a minute. No, it's not that big a deal. I was just upset. It's not, no one needs to get fired, anything like that. That's essentially what Alex Hermosi was talking about in the angry boat. And again, I've never tried that myself, but I like that concept. But even if you don't jump into the angry boat with them, the way you can diffuse that is by validating their concern, letting them be heard. Don't get all butthurt. This is where a lot of contractors really screw up, because what they do is they take it as a personal attack on them. And they say, someone says, hey, this this piece of crown you installed really doesn't look very, very good. Excuse me. The joints aren't tight, whatever. And maybe it's true, maybe it's not. But the contractor takes it as a personal attack on them. That is the worst way you can respond to someone. Okay? Can you mute, check, cook? What is that? I don't even know what you're asking there, Jacob. Can you mute, check, cook? Never mind. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. Oh, raise your hand if you took a dump today. I got you. Chef Cooks is being a dummy. Yeah. What's he doing? I can't see anything. It might be blocking my at Logan Cook. What's he doing? Is he being stupid? Yeah, I don't know how to do all that stuff, guys. I don't get too crazy in the comments here. Hold on one second. Bear with me. Let's mute him. All right, he's muted. I don't know what he was doing, but I muted him. Okay. So I don't even know where we was at. Totally lost my train of thought. That's why I usually don't like to look at the comments until I get further to the asking question section. But yeah, you need to validate them first, and then let them calm down, address the situation, and then handle it. Right. But a lot of contractors get too butthurt. They take it personal. Guys, there's no feelings in business. If you've never heard me say this before, there's no feelings in business. If you're going to get butthurt every single time a customer complains or says something, then you really should not be in business. I mean, seriously, you should not be in business. If you're that sensitive, you got to have thick skin if you're going to be a business owner. It's funny you say that, but I also just being nice always gets you. I don't think you mean to say head. That might be a typo there. Feedback is necessary, absolutely. You gotta have feedback from your guys, and you have to understand that it's not personal. Now, someone yeah, gets you ahead. Someone, I mean, it might get you ahead too, I don't know. Raphael, it might get you ahead. Um, yeah, you gotta validate them, right? You can't dismiss them. If you dismiss them, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot right away. The other thing now, let's just say they're being absolutely crazy and like, you can't validate what their concerns are. You need to call a timeout and be like, "Hey, listen, John or whoever it is, whenever whenever you hired us, I'd like to believe that you hired us because you trusted us to do a good job with this, on your project, blah 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 blah. If that's not the case, if you don't trust us 100%, then please let us know right now so that we can figure out what's going on because the last thing I want is for you not to trust us in the process. Sometimes it may look like in the middle, like things are not being done correctly. It may look like things being left undone, not finished. But we've been in business for many years and we've perfected this process. But we need you to trust us. And if that's not the case, please let me know right now so that we can address this. Like it's basically talking about the elephant in the room. It's hitting the problem head on. The problem with that is that a lot of people don't like conflict, and so they avoid it. And conflict avoidance is not a strategy that works. It's one thing if, someone just makes a snide remark one time in passing, you can just kind of let that go, right? But if it continues, then you need to address it. And as long as you have effective communication techniques, as long as you can understand how to talk to people, it really doesn't have to escalate but beyond that. If someone's upset about something, hey, Mary, I totally understand why you're upset. We failed to make sure that we took care of your house. We had a minor issue with one of our employees. He no longer works for us, and it's an unfortunate situation. And we're going to do everything in our power to make it right. Right? We're gonna make sure we take care of this, or whatever it might be. But if they start yelling at you, this is bull crap. We came home and he was in our bedroom and blah 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 blah, and this is unrealistic. And I get it. I'm so sorry this happened. If I were in your position, I would be upset as well. I really would be. Right? Validate their concern and then talk through the problems. One way that you can, and if they're just being absolutely like ridiculously crazy, then you just say, listen, Steve, I get it. I understand that there may be some, we're not meeting your expectations. I'd like to know exactly what it is that you expect out of us so that going forward we can have a working relationship. If that's not possible, then we may have to bring in a third party arbitrator and work our way out of this contract. Like, cuz we're not going to continue letting you I'm not going to continue to let you berate my employees, which that's happened to me before when I had my nephew who was like 18 at the time working for me, and not the he's not hadn't have a lot of years experience, and he wasn't doing anything wrong, but the customer just was looking for someone to complain with. And she told me that, I don't want his name was Tristan. I don't want Tristan to come back to my house. I said, what, why is that? Well, because he was just taking too long, and I don't want to pay him for this and that and blah 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 blah. And I was like, listen, he is going to come back and finish, and if that's a problem, then we just won't come back and do anything. And this particular job was like an hourly job, and we was like over multiple days, and we didn't go back. I said, well, okay, well then we won't come back, and we didn't. And like 5 days later, a week later, she's calling and begging me to come back. Please come back and do the work. I don't care if Tristan comes back. Please, please, please come. And I was like, no, no, you're not going to talk about my employees or berate them whatsoever. It's not going to happen. So you have to be able to like say, listen, you can be upset. You have every right to be upset. We didn't meet your expectations, but I'd like to know what those expectations are going forward so that we can be amicable about this and get it done. We want to finish your job, but we're not going to deal with all of the hatred towards my team or towards me or whatever. So how can we work through this, right? For whatever reason in culture, it's come down to, I don't like what you said, so now I'm going to cancel you. Instead of, hey, let's work through this and actually have a conversation where we're not getting upset and pissed off and yelling at each other, right? She did not give me a bad review. No. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like a lot of times we operate out of fear. Oh, I better go back and finish this job because I don't want her to give me a bad review. Well, who cares if she gives you a bad review? Respond to it and then blow that bad. How you fix bad reviews? You have 35 good reviews in place. That's how you fix bad reviews. And to be honest with you, if you have like 35, 50 good reviews and one or two bad reviews, it actually makes you look better. It actually makes you look legitimate, because it almost seems fake when there's a company that has 50 5-star reviews and there's nothing bad about them. So if you have a bad review, that's okay. Fake bad reviews, it depends on how many you're talking about. If I have one or two bad reviews that are fake, I'm not worried about it. I'm going to respond to them, because if it's a fake one, like I never worked for them before. You got some weird name, John Smith, right? And he says this company is a complete scam. Don't ever work for them. I'm going to go on there and say, we have no record of John Smith, of ever working for John Smith. Please reach out to our office if this is, not the case, and so we can talk about it, or something like that. Like we have no record of ever working for John Smith. I had one person leave me a bad review on Facebook because a mutual friend of ours, so in other words, my friend was friends with this person on Facebook, and it was during presidential elections, and my friend posted something, and the other guy and myself had opposing viewpoints on this topic. And I was just telling him what I wanted, not what I wanted. I was just giving my opinion, and it wasn't like hatred. It was just, this is my opinion. The next thing I know, I had a negative review on Facebook. He even said in the review, he didn't say this person did work for me. He basically was saying, I would never work for this company because they have this opinion about this, political thing, which was the dumbest thing you could ever do. And I simply, would respond with like, we never worked for this customer before. They're actually responding from a post that was made on a personal page, a personal Facebook page. Like you can negate negative post, if you have factual information. So I wouldn't live in fear of getting a negative review. I fired a customer one time, and she left a negative review because I fired her. And it's funny because the review is like this long, where she's like saying everything that happened, and then everything that she said she was going to, and then like the very last sentence said, "They do really good work. They're just not professional." So it was like she was giving us a positive review, even though it was a negative review. And what it was all about was because we would tell her, "Hey, we'll be there at 8 o'clock to start your project." We'd go knock on the door. She wasn't there. We'd call her, "Oh, I'm on my way there. I'll be there in 20 minutes." And we were sitting there waiting for 20 minutes. And this happened like 3 different times. And so finally I said, "We're done. We're not going to waste our time with you." There were some other things too. But yeah, that you can always overcome negative reviews like that, especially if it's something that's a one-off. But if you don't have a bunch of reviews, if you have no reviews and that one person leaves a negative review, that will hurt you. This is why it's so absolutely critical that you guys collect reviews. You need to get as many possible reviews as you can. Reviews, in my opinion, are the single most important thing you can do in your business. So Napper Zero, that's so in my opinion, you should not have sent an email that you can't make it unless it was like 3 days in advance. So here's what I would have done. I schedule an appointment for tomorrow at noon, right, for a free estimate. I find out right now at 4 p.m., 4:30 that I can't make it. I'm going to shoot an email right now. "Hey, I'm sorry I can't make it. Stuff's come up." Then I'm going to call or text right now and say, "Listen, I know we had a call scheduled for tomorrow. I can't make it." If I don't hear back from them tomorrow morning, I'm calling them first thing in the morning. "Hey, I know we had an appointment today. I sent an email and a couple texts. I'm not going to be able to make it, unfortunately." And then even if I still don't hear back from them, I'm going to do it one more time before the actual slotted time. Like, I'm going to go out of my way if I have to cancel on somebody. But like, if you were supposed to be there at 1 o'clock and you send them an email at 12, and I'm not saying you did, but if that's what's happening, I'd probably leave you a 1-star review too. Like, you should go out of your way to make sure people understand what's happening. That's what customer service looks like, guys. Let me give you an example of that. I was going to look at a job one time. Uh, it was like 30 minutes away. I'm on my way to the appointment to look at this job. I get T-boned in an intersection. Truck does a 180. Like, I was the first one in line. Light turned green. I took off. They ran a red light, T-boned me, spun me around 180 degrees, cut my shin, hurt my back. I wasn't like in really bad shape, but I mean, I was in pain. The ambulances come, all that stuff. As soon as I got out of the truck and like got my bearings and made sure there was no one else was dead, the very first thing I did within 5 minutes of having the accident was call my office manager and say, "Michelle, call the appointment and tell them I'm not going to be there. I just got into an accident." Like, that was the very first thing I did before I even called my wife. To me, that's what professionalism looks like, because I wanted to make sure they knew I wasn't just standing them up, because they probably took off work to be there. That was an unfortunate situation that I couldn't handle, right? Like, didn't want to have my truck totaled, especially since it was paid off. But that's what I mean. Like, some guys are like shooting a text, and, "Oh, I can't make it. Sorry." No, guys, that's not professional. That's not what professional looks like. "Hey, I can't make it today. Sorry, we had a situation that comes up. I can come back later this afternoon. I can come back tomorrow at 2 p.m., whatever, blah, blah, blah. I want to make sure we get this taken care of for you. What's going to be the best time for you?" Right now that I've canceled on them, now I'm kind of almost at their mercy. I may reschedule some things in order to fit their schedule, because now I've inconvenienced them by canceling. like I said, Napper, I don't know the situation. But if someone cancels on you, I had I, hold on one second. I'll tell you another story. I had a lady that emailed me. She went to our website, filled out a form. I had a this was several years ago when I was really, really busy. I couldn't answer the phone. My voicemail simply said, "Hey, thanks for calling us, blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, I'm not available. If you'd like quicker service, go to our website and fill out the form." I always push people to my website because it's just easier. And so she filled out the form, and I could just tell in the way that she filled out the like, how are you hoping we can help you? What are you wanting done? Just the way that she formulated the sentences, I could just tell she was going to be a pain in the butt. You just tell. And we were super busy anyways, and I just simply responded with an email, and I said, "Thank you for contacting us. Unfortunately, we won't be able to help you with your project." And that's all I said. Could I have said more and done it better? Probably, but it wasn't like anything. I just basically responded right away, "I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to help you." She got upset with that and left a 1-star review because we didn't, and she said it was 2 days later, which it wasn't, it was 1 day later. She filled out the form on 1 day. I emailed her the next day. She said that, I didn't get back for 2 days. She called, did the quicker option of leaving a form. He didn't respond for 2 days, and all he said was that he couldn't help us. He didn't, he could have gave us a number of some other contractor who could have helped us. They were mad because I didn't refer or suggest another contractor that could help them. If someone reads that review, they're going to think this person is absolutely crazy and self-absorbed. Like, it's not my responsibility to make sure you have another contractor that you can contact. What probably happened here is that she probably had talked to other contractors. They probably could detect that she was going to be crazy, and they all turned her down, and she was frustrated with the fact that she couldn't find somebody to help her. And then I was just the last one that broke the camel's back. And so she took it out on me. But when you see that, and I just said, I forget her name, but it was like Mo or something. I just said, like, "Miss Mo, I'm sorry you had this experience. If you would have reached out to our, or something like that, if you would have reached out to our office, I would have been more than happy to give you someone else." I don't remember the exact phrase, but it was basically like validating her concern, but then also saying you could, reach out to us. I said I felt it was a little unfair to leave a 1-star review simply because we couldn't help you. And so, people, guys, if you're not responding to every single review, you should be, good or bad. You should be responding because it shows the viewers that you are a active and engaged owner in your business. It shows that you're actually thoughtful and you read and respond to the reviews. That in and of itself provides value to your customers. If you see a business that has 15 reviews and 3 of them are bad and none of the reviews are responded to, what that conveys is that this company doesn't even know that they have bad reviews. Like, they're not even in touch with the reputation of their business online. So make sure you're responding to every single review. I saw a question. I need help with taxes and my monthly DOR payments. Eddie, I'm sorry, I can't even help you with that. I don't even know what a DOR payment is. You need to contact an accountant, brother. You need to contact a bookkeeper or an accountant or CPA. Don't try to do that stuff on your own. Just has a customer ask for a very detailed cost breakdown. Our projects have many different installation variables. So if someone asks for a breakdown of cost, it could be one of 3 things, really. One, they're C personality and they want the details. They want to know all the details. 2, they're price conscious. They want to know where they might be able to cut expenses or cut parts out of the project. Or 3, they're comparing you to other contractors to see the difference in pricing. The first question, anytime someone wants to know a breakdown in price, my first question is always, what are you hoping to find out by me breaking down the price? I want clarity around this question. Just because they want a cost breakdown does not by default mean that they're cheap and they're trying to find the cheapest contractor. It can simply be that your price is, say, $5,000. They really only have $3,500 to afford. And maybe there's elements to this project that were like add-ons. Like, here's the main thing we need fixed, and here are 3 other things that we want to get done if the price allows. And you come back and say, hey, we're at 5,000. They're like, oh, we don't have that much money. What can we cut out of this in order to get it closer to 35 so that we can have it done? That's a valid question and concern that someone might have, but I want to know that information first. And I'm going to get it by asking, what are you hoping to find out? And they may say, well, it's just a little bit more than what we can afford to spend, and we're trying to see what areas that we can cut out. Oh, I totally understand that. What are the top 3 things you need? Or what's the things that are most important? Or what kind of budget are you trying to stay in? Right? But if I never ask that question, what are you hoping to find out? I'll never know. If they simply say, well, we're trying to find out, what each line item cost is, they're probably price shopping you to some other estimate. What's a good way to tell them we don't do breakdowns? Basically what I just told you. So you find out first what they're trying to find out. Because if they're trying to find out where they can eliminate things in order to fit in their budget, you don't have to break down stuff. Now you're working with them to figure it out. Well, it's just a little bit more than what we were hoping to spend. I know you told us, 30,000 initially, but really we don't want to be over 25. Okay, I totally understand that. So if we're able to cut 5,000 out of the budget, then you'd be okay to move forward. That's what we're hoping to do. Okay. What are the main things that are important to you in this project? What's the top 3 things you got to have? Well, we got to have this, this, and this. Okay, so if we can definitely get those 3 things for 25. There's 2 other things up here that we can possibly remove. So if we take out this section here, this is actually about $3,000. And then this one here is about $1,000. So that'll save about 4,000 and it'd be about 26. Is that close enough? We still get those 3 things that you really want, but we're just eliminating these other 2, and that gets us down to 26. Would that work? Actually, that would work. We'd be comfortable with that. That actually helps out a lot. Like, I never had to reveal the price breakdown. I never had to give them a detailed breakdown because I'm trying to figure out what they want. What are they trying to solve? If someone simply says, well, we just want to know what the price breakdown is. I'm sorry, I wish I could do that, but unfortunately we don't do price breakdowns. I don't have to give a reason why. I just tell them we don't do it. I don't have to justify why I don't do it. It's our company policy. We don't give price breakdowns. Or I can do a price breakdown, but because of how our software works, it's going to require quite a bit of time to do that. So if you want me to do a price breakdown, I'll have to charge you an extra $100 in order to do that. Would you like me to proceed with that? Like, that's one way. That's one angle you can approach that. I'm not a big fan of the penalizing them for doing the price breakdown. I just tell them no, I don't do that. Is that a deal breaker? Like, if you're confident in your business and your phone is ringing off the hook, you don't really have to like go out of your way to please people. That being said, I'm not just going to throw away a perfectly good job because there was some, like I said, they're trying to fit it in their budget. I'm going to work with those people. I'm going to try and, but the first thing you should do when someone asks, can you give us a price breakdown? What are you hoping to find out if I break down the price? George or Jorge, yeah, man, you're welcome. VA overall a good day. I think it might be spelling error there. Yeah. Uh, ish one. What is that? Is that a salute? Damn, the things are. I guess I'm getting old. I can't even see the damn icons on there. Are you saluting me? Uh, we're at 45 minutes, guys. Last call. If you got questions for me, throw them in the chat. If you're on TikTok or Facebook or YouTube, throw them in the comments. If you got any questions for me, and I will answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to hop off here. I appreciate it. Thank you for the salute. So, last call. If you guys have any questions for me, I'll make sure I didn't miss any. How do you create an email database? Do a giveaway, do a lead magnet. If you guys are in, that's like a loaded question there. Modern metal design, um, guys. If you're in business, if you're a contractor, the best thing you can do is create what we call a lead magnet, a giveaway. It can be very, very simple, very basic. I have a lead magnet. I have a giveaway. You can get if you go to my profile on TikTok, you can download it. It's a guide called "Eliminate Tire Kickers and Get Paid to Do Estimates." The No BS guide for contractors to get paid what you're worth. It's a 20-page document, 20-page guide that outlines how to eliminate tire kickers and charge for consultations. It's completely free, right? You can go to my profile and download it right now. In return for that, I'm going to collect your name and your email so that I can email market you. Like that's a very small price to ask for your email to give you 20 page of valuable information. But you as contractors can do the exact same thing. You can have a PDF giveaway of something that your clients want. Let's say you're a landscaper, right? You do hardscapes. You can create a PDF that simply says like the top 5 designs or 7 considerations when hiring a landscaping contractor, or the whatever project planning blueprint for your for your landscaping project. You just create a very simple giveaway. It doesn't have to be 20 pages like I have. It can be 1 page, it can be 3 pages, but you create something that people want and you give it away for free in exchange for their email. And you can put it on your website. And it simply is download. If someone goes to your website, download our free guide on how to budget for your bathroom remodel, or the bathroom remodel planning guide, whatever. It can be whatever you want. You can create it in less than 1 day. You could even go on Chat GPT and say creative write out a PDF, 500 word PDF on X, how to hire a good contractor, and it will spit it out. And then you just throw it on there, add some graphics. You can hire someone on Fiverr for $5, for $10 to create a design, right? Give them the information. Hey, take this text, take these 500 words and create a design, and boom, for $10 in 10 minutes, you just created a free giveaway and you throw it on your website and you start collecting emails. And then you can do a monthly email newsletter if you want, or whatever. That's the easiest way to get an email list, man. The best way to find employees, modern metal design, is to make your business so irresistible that they find you. That's the quickest way I can explain it. If your business is so irresistible, they will find you, and you will never have to like try to go out and find people. So, content, create like behind the scenes content. One of my clients, he is a builder in Canada, and he's had very, very good luck, very good success, not luck. He's on TikTok too, but he creates videos of his guys like every single day, like them cooking out. They usually cook out for lunch every day, and they joke around and have fun and play games and like do little races in on the job site, like stupid things, and he videotapes that and puts it online because he's showing the outside world the culture of what it is to work at his business. And if I am a contractor and I'm working for a crappy guy and I don't want to work here anymore, but I think everyone else sucks, and then I see, because it's local to me, I see a video of a company and they're having fun and getting cookouts and whatever, going camping and fishing trips or going to the range on Fridays or whatever it is, all these fun things. I'm going to be like, damn, that company over there looks like a great place to work. My boss never does crap. This company over here is showing all the fun they have. I want to go check them out. Like that's how you attract good employees, is by making yourself attractive. Basically, it's like putting makeup on, right? It's like getting dolled up to go on a date. You need to make your business look attractable to employees. That's the best advice I can give you. And they will find you if you do that. All right, guys, I need to hop off here. Appreciate you hanging out with me for a minute. If you don't listen to the podcast, make sure you go listen to the Hammer and Grind podcast. Go check out Spotify, because Spotify just rolled out a new feature where you can actually comment right on the app. So like if you listen to it while you're driving on your phone, on your Spotify app, you can comment on that episode, and we can have conversations. It's pretty cool. It just rolled out recently, and I want to see that work, so that if you guys listen to a podcast and I say something in the podcast, and you're like, oh, that's a great question, and you could like just ask the question right there online on the Spotify app, and then I can respond to it. So go check out the podcast. I got 107 episodes. It drops every Monday morning is when they drop. It's on all the platforms. If you don't use Spotify, it's on iTunes. It's on Apple Pod or Google Podcast, and all those other platforms. And then if there's anything I can do for you, reach out to me. I have lots of opportunities to help you guys. I have coaching, I have free resources, I have a free Facebook group. Some of you are on TikTok. I have a free Facebook group with lots of resources in there. So if you're on TikTok, just go to my profile, click the link. There's all these options in there. And then if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you can reach out to me, shoot me a DM, and be more than happy to see what I can do for you. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great week ahead. And like I say on the podcast, when I always sign off, remember, until next time, guys, profit is not a dirty word. Thank you.